Could be, but it's, yeah, it is. It's both of these. Concertina bag. Have you ever been to Poland? Czechoslovakia? You know those people stand on the corner and they play that little thing and they go like this? That's a concertina bag, right? That's what it is. No, accordion's the one with the keyboard on the side. Yes, it still has a concertina bag as a part of it, but that one also has a keyboard. You contain a volume. You contain a volume, right? You pre-charge the volume, and the container is squished, and the volume goes to the patient. This is our single internal circuit. Okay, we're ready for questions. Since I don't remember exactly who answered questions last week, we're just going to start at the start. No. You did. Fizzle. The shizzle. Okay, shizzle. Ventilators can be pneumatically or electronically controlled, but never both. True or false? Huh? Everyone agree?
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely false, right? Almost every modern ventilator is dual control, right? All right, you ready, Johan? Get a little more confident. Yeah. C. Everyone agree?
Yes.
Way to go, Yoko. Ready, huh?
Yes.
False. Everyone agree? Definitely false. Right? Is the least commonly found ventilator. Nice. Okay, Edgar. D. Cannot deviate from settings. You agree? I think it's A. I think it needs to be closed. Yeah, it probably does, but it's not. It's definitely B. Hey, no taking pictures. Philip, you ready? Think so? So if I'm going to wean someone, if I put someone on pressure support, and I want to wean the support off, what do I have to do? I have to go in and do something, right? But what about an intelligent system? So is it easier? It's certainly easier on the RT, right? No, it is easier on the patient. Because
the whole thing is going to be like this.
No, we're talking about a very specific situation. Asynchrony with PRBC, not pressure support, right? So if we're weaning someone, we don't usually wean people on PRBC. That's still a control mode. If I'm going to wean someone on pressure support, right, and I put you on the vent and you're doing great, in fact you're doing too well, and I need to wean support, but I have 8 other patients to see before I can come back and adjust your ventilator. That means you're going to be waiting 2 hours for me to come back and change it. But if you're using an intelligent system or a closed loop system, it's going to do it for you. In fact, I might come in and do your vent check and come back 3 hours later and the vent's made 17 changes since I've been gone.
Does it record those changes so you know?
Very good point. It'd be a charting nightmare, couldn't it? Because yes, the ventilator keeps track of every single change. The logbook, remember the logbook? You can find every change on there. You want to go and document 17 changes it made? No. So we only document the current setting when you walk in the room. But the nice thing is, the patient's comfort is maintained, right? If we want them to get that tidal volume, the vent will adjust itself to the point that they get that volume, and they're always going to get it. As opposed to us having to keep running into the room and checking on them all the time.
So it's like being a disservice to patients having an intelligent system
Yes.
and weaning.
Especially if you're too busy to keep looking at them. Guess what? If you're putting a patient on the weaning for the first time, this would be a great way to do it, because you really want to stand there for an hour watching your patient while they're trying to wean from mechanical ventilation the first time. No. This would be a great way to get around doing that. PRVC is probably not the best intelligent system for someone who's active. But pressure support in a intelligent system, which I don't want to keep saying names. I mean, I can call it SmartCare all day long, but then you're going to think I'm getting a kickback from Draeger, right? I'm not. Every vent has intelligent systems. It has closed loop modes, right? You talked about PRVC. What vent is that on? That's the servo, right? It's a proprietary name. But does the 840 have a mode that's similar? Yeah, it's called PCV Plus, right? It also has a spontaneous mode. It's called PS Plus or something like that. Okay, it's the same thing as SmartCare. But just remember, auto-regulating pressure support is a closed-loop or intelligent system. It's definitely better for the patient because the changes can happen faster. Unless you only have one patient and you can stay in the room all day, this is the way to go.
So you're saying then that if, like in a case where somebody's just being lazy and they put their patient on this intelligent system and leave them on there all day and all night and don't really pay attention to the changes, then it's not good. But if you as RT are being, diligent and you're and paying attention to the patient and
I would have to say that if you put the patient on any mode, it doesn't matter whether it's closed or open, intelligent or not intelligent, and you don't care and you never pay attention, then that's bad.
Right, but just like from what you were saying
This is
earlier,
just a way to facilitate changes being made without you having to be in the room every time. You still have to go and check your patient. You
Right.
still have to monitor them and make sure that they're not reaching the thresholds that you set. Make sure that they're not meeting the goal that you set in a way that doesn't make you happy also. Remember the example I gave with Shiraz, where his rate went from 10 to 40, but he still met what we're asking for. That, you have to continually assess your patient. You can't just leave them for 12 hours without looking at them. That's why we have mandatory benches, right? Okay, Jennifer. She says D. Yes, I see.
No.
Usually ICU discipline is meted out by the nurses. All right. You ready for reading then? Well, apparently, the RT at a certain hospital in Southern California did not touch the control panel, did he? Left it on standby. If you've read the article, you know this. Definitely false, right? That's what we do. It's our job to interface with the ventilator, right? Now, is there another type of interface on the ventilator?
Is there what?
Another type of interface on the ventilator? This is the interface between us and the ventilator. But is there another interface? Yeah, between the ventilator and the patient, right? That's another interface. What do we use for that interface? What's the connection?
Patient
Circuit,
wide.
right? To an endotracheal tube. But could we have any other interface in the patient ventilator interface? We still have a circuit, right? It's hooked up to the AT tube. But could we have any other interface?
Filters?
Could have the circuit hooked up to a mask, right? Patient doesn't actually have to be intubated.
Oh, so like
It could function as a BiPAP machine by putting a mask to the vent circuit. And almost all new ventilators have a BiPAP function now. They have a mode called BiPAP. It is called non-invasive ventilation, NIV, which we will talk a lot about. All right, Ryan. I asked for A, but no one ever gave it. Think carefully, an adjunct device, something we would like to add to our external circuit?
I would say B.
I would say B too. Also, not B two. Right, we're not playing bingo. Right, XM radio, yeah, no ventilators have those built in yet. It'd be nice, but they don't. The compressor, is it part of the external circuit?
No. Part of the
It's part of the internal circuit. The solenoid valve, where's that? Internal circuit, right? That's the difference between our dual and our single internal circuit. Yay.
So an adjunct is like just an accessory kind of?
Yep, an accessory. Just think about accessorizing with that. You know, when I was a teenager,
XM radio would be a great.
I used to work in a department store, much like Target, right? Except it wasn't called Target. And I used to work at the service desk. Can you imagine the control, the power, right? Back in the day, service desks
How
used to
long
be.
did it take them to regret it?
Oh my God! Like, service desks used to be elevated. They were higher than.
So you stood.
So you were always looking down at people, right? When they came up to the counter was like up here, and they're like filling out their forms, right? Well, I love to look down at people. Across from the service desk was what we called the accessories department, right? Gloves and jewelry and hats and scarves, right? So think about accessorizing your event with added devices outside. The funny part of this story is, I worked with a girl named Karen. She was about this tall. And the front of the accessory department was the jewelry counter, which, come on, I mean, you can buy jewelry at Target, but you better go to Jared, right? So here's the thing. The jewelry counter was this sanctimonious place, right? No one could go in there except the person who was working in the jewelry department. And it had a very, very strong plywood gate with a little latch. That it was policy and procedure that every time you left, you had to open that gate, close it, and make sure you latched it, while you went and neatened up all the scarves and everything. So I would wait for Karen to get out there into